Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Storytelling with Let Love Rise. Today I've got one hot off the presses. In fact, I haven't even hit publish on it yet on my website. But before we get to the story, let me back up and introduce myself. My name is Andrea Blythe and I'm the creator of Let Love Rise, which is where I share stories, healing stories of my journey through divorce and the things that have healed me, which are the moon and music and mindset. And today I'm so excited to share with you about the Magi. So today's story is called Coincidence, Karma, and the Cards. And I believe it will be published later today. So let's just go ahead and put a stamp of April 25th in this crazy year 2024, where the energies are as big as they were in the story that I'm going to tell today in 2020. So perhaps you have felt that. Let's just give a shout out and a woot woot, a little celebration for the end of Mercury retrograde, which ends today. And here we go. Coincidence, karma, and the cards. Ever since I read the Celestine prophecy back in the early 1990s, I was introduced to the concept that there's no such thing as coincidence. There is, however, a very real law of the universe that will serendipitously bring two people together at a precise moment in time in order to impart a certain exchange of information. I was 46 years old in March of 2020, and during the exact same week as the pandemic lockdown, I was served divorce papers. Coincidence? All I know is that I had never been so scared, confused, angry, hurt, and overwhelmed as I was that spring. As families were gathering together in their homes to ride the fearful wave of this rapidly spreading virus, my family was torn in two. I was utterly alone for the first time in my life and felt paralyzed with the fear of the unknown. That is Jasper Mraz in the other room giving a shout out, connecting with the dogs walking by. So let me just read that last sentence one more time. Perhaps it's just loud in my home, but I will read it one more time. As families were gathering together in their homes to ride the fearful wave of this rapidly spreading virus, my family was torn in two. I was utterly alone for the first time in my life, and I felt paralyzed with the fear of the unknown. And that's when a serendipitous encounter with the Magi cards took place. The encounter. A few weeks after being served with divorce papers, a dear friend of mine introduced me to a friend of hers who gave readings using a standard deck of cards. I was desperate for any guidance I could get, so I gave her a call and set up a digital meeting on this new platform called Zoom. It was April of 2020, a month before my 47th birthday, when I had that first reading and learned that I am a 4 of Spades birth card and a 10 of Diamonds planetary ruling card. I also apparently was moon to my then Jack of Diamonds husband. So stay with me, this will all make sense. There was a lot of information that I learned about myself that day, but the piece that stopped me dead in my tracks was when she peeked into my 47th year and saw that I had two prominent cards known as the divorce cards, which are the 9 and 5 of hearts. Of course, being a wise reader of the Order of the Magi, she did not tell me that I was destined to get a divorce. Instead, she explained how the cards were indicators of an ending, right? 9s, endings, and a change, the 5, in love, which is the hearts card. She explained how the cards are subjective and the interpretation and integration of the meaning behind the cards lies within the person, in that case, me. So the 9 and 5 of hearts could mean that my husband and I would change the way that we are showing up for one another and bring an end to the struggle in our marriage. That was one possible interpretation. But when I closed my computer at the end of our call, my gut knew that our marriage wasn't going to make a recovery. The divorce. I did indeed get divorced later that year. In fact, the date of our divorce is rather significant. It was October 30th of 2020. Ask yourself, is it coincidence that the cards for October 30th are the 5 and 9 of Hearts. Literally, the day which energetically carries the divorce cards is the day that my 20-year marriage ended. But wait, that's not all. The date of my wedding anniversary was July 1st, which is an Ace of Spades day. The Ace of Spades is a very powerful card of transformation, secrets, death, new beginnings, and it also just happens to be the card that symbolizes the order of the Magi, the Ace of Spades. And you'll notice that on a deck of playing cards, the Ace of Spades is different than other aces. Just the symbology is much more prominent. So it represents the order of the Magi. It was on a 10 of Diamonds day, July 5th, for anybody who wants to know, that my planetary, which is also my planetary ruling card, the 10 of Diamonds, in the summer of 2019, that my ex and I had an argument that our marriage would never recover from. I'm going to reread that line. So again, this has not been published yet. So it was on a 10 of Diamonds day, which happens to be my planetary ruling card day, in the summer of 2019, so it was July 5th of 2019, that we had an argument that our marriage would never recover from. After nearly 50, sometimes it feels like 50 years. 20 years. I mean, I'm not that old, people. So after nearly 20 years of being in a very traditional Christian hierarchical marriage, I had ideas of my own about how to parent our children that were different from those of my then husband. I can see now that I was no longer willing to be the reflection of my then husband's leadership, which broke our sun-moon soul contract. I didn't agree with how he wanted to lead our family. Essentially, I could no longer be his moon, and we both felt that. Even if I didn't even know this, I didn't understand this at the time. It's just, we felt something had shifted, and through my understanding of the cards now, I understand that that energetic shift between the sun and the moon, what worked for us was no longer working for us. So it was over, and it was over, the marriage was over on a 5 and 9 of Hearts day nonetheless. So looking back, that fateful day makes so much sense in the unfolding of my life story and the beginning of my work with the Magi. Karma. Let me take a quick sip. Like I said at the onset of this post, I don't believe in coincidence. I do, however, believe in serendipitous encounters, signs from the universe, and the law of karma. So karma simply being unresolved business from previous lives. It is neither good nor bad, it just is. As soon as we are able to understand what our soul is here to learn, the more freedom we experience in this lifetime. And that's where the cards have played a pivotal role in my life. During that initial Magi reading from April of 2020, the reader told me that my ex and I had traveled together many lifetimes. Indeed, it did feel like we were soul connected from the very onset of meeting one another back when we were young teenagers. Why then was I going through this painful divorce with him? If we had traveled lifetimes together, shouldn't we have figured it out by now? The question lingered with me until last summer when I began my Magi card science certification with Grandmaster of the Order of the Magi, Robert Lee Camp, who is author of so many books, just an amazing person who is bringing this card system, this ancient wisdom into public understanding and kind of revealing this wisdom. So in my training with Robert Lee Camp, I began to understand that as a 10 of Diamonds person, my life's challenges, which are represented as the Saturn and the Pluto cards, they are, get this, the 5 and the 9 of Hearts. It is in my karma, in my destiny, to learn my lessons in love and to transcend those, the stories and all of that. So it's not written, that is just from the cuff as the author. Relationships are reflective mirrors. I was the moon to his sun, and that worked for a good long while. We had many, many happy years together and brought forth 3 incredible children into this world. And for that, I will be forever grateful. But when the time came for me to expand and evolve on my soul journey, I could no longer be his moon. And so he set me free, which I have come to understand wasn't the case in previous lifetimes. I believe that my divorce led me to the cards, which provided me with essential insight on my healing journey. My healing journey then led me to create this blog, Let Love Rise, which gradually became my new life's passion. My passion then led me to take a leap of faith in myself and make Let Love Rise my full-time business in August of 2023, which coincidentally was the exact same month that I began my Magi card science certification program. And now my business stands upon the 4 pillars of my healing journey: the moon, music, mindset, and the Magi. So I share with you a beautiful song by Trevor Hall called Moon and Sun. I am wearing my Moon and Sun shirt today just in honor of this story, this very personal story, through understanding my divorce from a different perspective through the cards, the lens of the cards, and how they showed up in my life and how I interpreted them. Again, this is a card science, so there is a lot of science behind it, how these cards work and how they move. And every single person walking this earth has a different story. And so it is important to recognize that my story and the interpretation and how it played a role in my life can be very different from, I indeed have a twin cousin who's also born on May 2nd and is also then a 4 of spades and a 10 of diamonds, and she has not had a major divorce. I'm not quite sure what happened to her at age 47 and how those 5 of hearts and 9 of hearts played out for her, but I do know it is a part of her story. It just might not be the same story. It's just they're indicators and they're energetic guides of what you will be experiencing in the year. So stay tuned. Next week, I'll be sharing more about the history of the Magi and a story about how the Ace of Diamonds taught me self-worth. I hope you'll come back for part 2. If you're local to the Boise area, I invite you to join me for an introduction to the Magi and Cards of Destiny class, which will be offered at Earthlight on Fairview on Wednesday, May 1st from 7 to 9 p.m. Very intentionally chosen hours of 7 and 9. I'll be talking about the significance of those numbers. And then also in my home on Friday, May 3rd from 11 to 1 p.m. If you would like a personal reading or a relationship reading, you could check out the menu of options on my website. If you're listening to this or if you're reading it, it is embedded here in the blog post. Then you can email me, Andrea Blythe at letloverise.com to schedule an appointment. But beware, it could change your life in the very best way imaginable. Finally, if you are looking for a community of open-hearted spiritual warriors, I invite you to join the Let Love Rise founding membership group. We meet every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time via Zoom, this new platform. It's so funny. Like when we didn't, Zoom has just become a part of our lives and has expanded and grown us. Like, Age of Aquarius says what? Interactive lessons and discussions based on the 4 pillars of Let Love Rise, which are the moon, music, mindset, and the Magi. So we'll be going every Monday in that order to have these interactive classes and discussions. The founding membership is open until Sunday, May 5th, and classes officially begin on May 6th with Moon Talk. So if that is of something of interest to you, all the information can be found on my website. And if you're not on my mailing list, that is the very best way to stay up to date. I try to only send information that brings a little joy, a little encouragement and hope into your day, and also clues you in on things that are happening in the local area or cool things that I see people doing around the country that are creating books, podcasts, stories that will inspire us all to shine our most beautifully bold light out with others. So speaking of light, the light in me honors the light in you. Thank you for hearing my story. And my question is, how does it reflect upon yours? Namaste. All right, that is storytelling for the day. I do always love and appreciate a like, and if you know somebody who is going through a divorce who might want to hear this story, or perhaps would be interested in having a reading, taking a look at what the cards of destiny have in store for that person, or are highlighting, or are pointing directions towards, I would be honored if you would send them my way. Again, almost everything can be found at letloverise.com. And I do just want to say on a personal note for my blog, it is experiencing growing pains right now. So if ever there's something there that is hard for you to access, know that this is 100% my creation. I am not a website builder, but I built this blog from the ground up in 2021, and I am it's getting a little clunky, but I am learning as I go, and so I hope it's easy to navigate. There is a tab called the Magi, and that's where you'll find more about the offerings that I have and how to work with me. So thank you so much for listening to this story today. I hope you have a truly beautiful day, and let's just celebrate that we have made it through the eclipse portal and through Mercury retrograde, onward and upwards, my friends. Until next week. Ciao for now.